Carrots are a wonderful, nutritious vegetable to grow, and they are so yummy when they are fresh picked from your garden. I like to refer to my Square Foot Garden book to give me a little bit more information about how to grow carrots. If you look in the back of your book, you will notice that it will tell you the percentage of germination for carrots. Carrots prefer the cooler seasons, and you're going to get a better germination rate in the cooler temperatures versus if it gets up to around 95 degrees. The carrots don't like that really hot weather. And you'll want to probably start your carrots outdoors about 3 to 6 weeks before your last frost day. Now you get to pick out what kind of carrots you want to grow. There are so many different ones that you can pick out. There are long carrots. There are the little baby short carrots that only get about 3 inches long. There are straight carrots, and there are cone-shaped carrots. The cone-shaped carrots are actually better for clay soils because they kind of can wedge their way down into the clay soils. So once you've determined what kind of carrots you want to grow, you'll need to determine when to plant them. And I will show you a picture here on the back of this particular seed package. And for me, it's best that I plant these between March and June. I need to skip July because it's too hot, and I can continue planting in August through September. Most carrots are going to take about 75 days before you can harvest them. Make sure that when you plant your seeds to mark your marker with the date that you planted them. Carrots are best planted when they are direct sown into your soil. This is not something that you would plant somewhere else and then transplant them into your soil. Make sure your soil is loose and free of any weeds or stones or sticks or anything like that. I'm going to actually put a little bit of compost here in my soil because when those seeds come up and they start to grow and they get their true leaves, they're going to need some nutrition, and it's best that I go ahead and put that in there now. Okay, so for my Square Foot Garden, I like to use a little piece of foam board that I cut 9 by 9, and then I marked off every 3 inches a little spot where I need to put my carrots, because carrots need to be spaced 3 inches apart. So I'm going to use a little wooden skewer here to help mark a square foot because I don't have my grid. And now I can plant my seeds. I have 16 spaces here, so I can put 16 carrots per square foot. If you don't have a square foot garden or you just have a raised bed, you can also still space your carrots 3 inches apart, whether you're going to space them in a row or a square. So I'm just going to put about 3 seeds at each marked spot here. It's going to be a lot easier for me to go back and what's called thin your carrots when you've spaced them accordingly to begin with. It's a lot harder to just toss your seeds out and then go back and thin them. So I have done that too, though. Now I'll just cover them up with a thin layer of soil, and I'll give them a tag so I know that I cannot plant anything else there until those seeds come up, because it's going to take about 2 weeks. It takes a long time for carrot seeds to come up. And then I'll just water them almost every day with a little child's watering can, or you can mist them, but you have got to keep those seeds moist. A lot of your work as a gardener when you grow carrots is in the very beginning, and you've got to keep them moist so they will germinate. Now once they start to come up, then you'll need to thin them. This is one plant in particular that I like to cut out because it's a root vegetable. Instead of pulling out the baby seedlings that I don't want, I want to cut them out because I don't want to disturb the roots on the one that I want to keep. And in another week or two, you'll start to notice that it's going to get a lot more new growth, and it will be developing beautifully. Now you can also grow carrots in a container. This is a great idea for children that like to eat carrots. They can plant them in a little container. It can be their own little carrot container. They still need to be spaced about 3 inches apart. Do remember, though, if you grow your carrots in a container, that container is going to be taken up for 75 days with something that you're really probably just going to harvest one time. So I like to encourage people to grow something in a container that they can go and just pick from a little bit once every week or so, like herbs or something like that. It's a much more practical way to use a container. But during this example, when I grew them in containers, I didn't have another garden, so I was just growing them just for fun in my container. So as long as you've kept your carrots watered very well, you really aren't going to have a lot of problems with pests or diseases. I think there's something called a carrot fly. I've never had a problem with anything with the carrots. The main thing is water. You can begin to harvest them about 75 days after you've planted them. Sometimes the tops will start to fall over a little bit, and you know it's time then. These are probably some of the biggest carrots that I grew in a square-foot garden many years ago. My little boy harvested these for us, and they turned out just beautiful. They tasted just amazing. They were very good. I had an irrigation system, and they were watered every single day for 15 minutes a day. I know the best tasting ones get a lot of water. So that's just speaking from my experience. And all of the carrots that I've grown over the years, the ones that were tasted the best got a lot of water. So I like to use a little bulb planter to kind of dig down around the carrots. It helps to loosen up the soil before I pull them out. And then it's also nice to have a bucket of water close by if you're harvesting a lot at one time, and just drop them in there. If you happen to harvest some carrots that have little hairs, it looks like little hairs coming out of the carrot, it's really the roots. The carrot's been in search of water, and those carrots aren't going to have as good a taste as the ones that have been watered regularly. So if you have a hairy carrot, that means that it has not been watered adequately. So as I mentioned, there's a lot of different kinds of carrots that you can grow. There are the short baby ones, which are kind of more of the gourmet kind, and then you have this one here is called a red core chantenay, and it is a very good tasting carrot, and it grows more of a cone shape. You know how I mentioned that a cone shape is better for clay soils because it can kind of wedge its way down into there. Don't harvest your carrots like this, as you'll pull the tops right off. That's not a good idea. And if you ever happen to notice your carrot coming up out of the top of the soil, that part of your carrot will probably be green. It will not develop a color, so make sure that you keep your carrots covered up with soil. If you have a hard clay soil or a lot of stones in your soil, your carrots are going to take on all different kind of shapes. So it's best to keep your soils loose. Now, I like to rinse off my carrots with the outside spigot before I take them inside, just to kind of free up a lot of the dirt that's on the carrots. Okay, I'll go ahead and take my tops off and put those in the composter. And if you want to store them for any length of time, be sure that you wash them first and then put them in a produce drawer in your refrigerator to keep them crisp. If you don't, they're going to turn soft. So clean them and put them in the produce drawer. Now here is an example of a carrot that overwintered. Now a carrot is a biennial, which means it will not go to seed until the second year. So here is an example of a carrot where it's not really developing any kind of carrot or a root at all, but all of the energy is going into the top of the carrot. It will grow into a big, beautiful flower. The carrot flower is a beautiful cutting flower. So whenever I see that there's a carrot that I forgot to harvest and I notice that it's coming up in the spring, I'll just go ahead and leave it there to add a little bit of beauty to the garden. Now here's one where I pulled out just one carrot. This was one carrot. It grew to about 6 feet tall, and you see there's no carrot at the bottom. I mean, there's just a little stump there, but it just forced its way into this beautiful arrangement of white flowers. So that was very pretty. And if you've done everything right, you will be able to take those carrots that you've worked hard to grow and create something beautiful and delicious in your kitchen. I like to use a little toothbrush that I marked specifically for produce so I can clean root vegetables. So I like to also use this little julienne vegetable peeler to create a little bit of a nice design on the outside of the carrot, or you can also use it just to shred carrots for toppings for things like wraps or tacos. And then of course they're always good in things like curry or stir fries. An endless way to use carrots. This is a recipe I really enjoy making. It's called shrimp rolls. I don't make them a lot, but they are delicious. And you use carrots minced in the side of these with some shrimp. Of course, we all know carrot cake. Carrot cake is just yummy. And then my grandmother, when I was little, she would always simmer carrots and then just make up a little sauce out of butter, honey, and salt and drizzle that on top of simmered carrots, and it was always so good. And so soup, the multicolored carrots are beautiful in soups. Just makes it like a little rainbow soup and just yummy. And then, of course, you can always roast your carrots, peel them and roast them. Those are good with some potatoes. Oh, so good. And then if you have a lot of carrots and you want to put them up, somehow preserve them, a good way to do that is to pickle them. So I made some what's called South Asian Pacific pickles. And I had a lot of cucumbers coming out of the garden, so I mixed up with some carrots, with some cucumbers, some cauliflower, some hot peppers, some ginger, peanuts, sesame seeds, and some vinegar. It was so good. So anyway, I hope to show you some of those recipes this year, and thank you so much for watching. I hope that you can grow carrots successfully and enjoy them as much as I have. Have a beautiful day, and thanks for watching.